Welcome everyone, and thanks for coming. My name is José Palhaço. I work as the Institutional Development Officer for the Brazilian Humpback Whale Institute, who's organizing this little side event together with a few partner organizations who support this idea we're going to be presenting to you. Projeto Baleia Vista, also from Brazil, Patagonia Educational Museum from Argentina, the Organization for the Conservation of Cetaceans in Uruguay, and Sea Search, who works with research and conservation of cetaceans in South Africa, Namibia, and occasionally Angola. Basically, what we're going to talk about is using humpback whales as a flagship species for the implementation, for the beginning of the implementation of the CMS action plan for South Atlantic whales, a plan which was approved in the last COP for reasons which will be on the scope of our discussion here. There hasn't been any action on the action plan until now. So we're proposing to start humbly with a species that is present in the region. Very briefly, some background about us. The Brazilian Humpback Whale Institute has been doing work on humpback whales and marine conservation for the last 30 years in Brazil. We work with research, public education, public policy. We do capacity building for whale watching, helping local communities get started with sustainable whale watching operations. And we also do a lot of cultural activities trying to integrate different parts of the communities on the coast in activities that have to do with culture, art, and marine conservation. We operate 3 bases, 2 in the Brazilian Northeast and the state of Bahia, and a new one in Vitória in the southeast, following the expansion of the humpback whale breeding population, which goes every winter to the coast of Brazil to breed. This is the area we're talking about, South Atlantic Ocean, an area of enormous biodiversity, great potential for doing conservation stuff, and encircled by developing countries entirely in its borders. And we are fortunate because CMS has a big presence in the region. There's only one country bordering the South Atlantic, which is a non-party, Namibia. Namibia is a partner to CMS activities, and we are hopeful that we can involve all range states of the South Atlantic in activities for the action plan. This is the map and the limits which were proposed and approved at the last COP for the CMS action plan. These straight lines have a history. They coincide with the proposal for a South Atlantic whale sanctuary, which was proposed at the International Whaling Commission. And that's why it has this strange form. Down here you have the Indian Ocean Sanctuary of the IWC, and here the Southern Ocean Sanctuary. They're definitely not natural boundaries by any sense. And the line above it to the north is the equator. Of course, whales couldn't care less about these lines. And in the case of humpbacks specifically, the ones along the South America seaboard cross all the way to the subantarctic islands from the northeast of Brazil. And we have learned in recent years when the equator was proposed as the limit in 2001, we didn't have that much information about whales crossing the equator, but we now know that humpbacks that go all the way up to the Gulf go all the way down, and they are definitely a Southern Hemisphere population or populations. The action plan, which was approved at the last COP, is a long and relatively complex document, but mainly it touches upon a few goals with proposed actions directed at research, management issues, public awareness and public engagement, and the promotion of sustainable non-lethal uses, in particular whale watching. What these goals and actions have in common is that they involve a lot of cooperation among the range states, which was also the main driver behind the proposal also for the South Atlantic Sanctuary and the IWC. Why do we want to use humpbacks? Basically because They occur in all the range states of the South Atlantic, and they are a conservation success story so far. We say so far because there are new challenges for conservation that we're seeing as the population rebounds from whaling. In this case, this graph shows the Brazilian breeding population of humpback whales. Of necessity, the first part of the graph to the left is compressed in time, but it shows that from a steep decline due to whaling, they have been rebounding now almost to what is estimated to be their original population. It's probably the species of large whales which has been severely affected by whaling, which is rebounding better around the world. So now in the South Atlantic we have humpback whales basically all over. Up in northeastern and southern Brazil, the Abrogos Bank where this picture was taken is the biggest reef area in the southwestern Atlantic. Now this population is expanding to the southeast of Brazil. We have whales from the tip of our northeast to São Paulo in the southeast. In Uruguay, where we have a breeding population of southern right whales, humpbacks are showing up more and more frequently. Not only strandings, but also live animals are starting to be seen. In Patagonia, also the realm of southern right whales, where Peninsula Valdez is renowned around the world for its high-quality whale watching, we're seeing humpback whales like this photographed a couple of weeks ago by whale watching operations showing up. Also in San Jorge Gulf, regularly in summer, we're having new sightings of humpback whales transiting through the area. In South Africa, around Saldanha Bay, other areas, large concentrations of humpbacks are being seen in the South Atlantic side of the country. Namibia has occasional sightings. Many sightings like this one in Angola, this one in front of Luanda, taken by a crew from our institute that's been invited over to document the presence of whales there. And upper to the north in Africa, beautiful, beautiful opportunities for doing work with humpback whales. The Wildlife Conservation Society has done stellar work there under the coordination of Dr. Howard Rosenbaum, and we're now seeing animals like this one in front of the ship in Pointe Noire, Republic of Congo or Congo-Brazzaville, with interactions with shipping, which are not well studied yet. The other picture is from Gabon. Places like Gabon and Ghana have, and Benin have potential opportunities for whale watching and also for involving local researchers in doing more work so we can understand a little bit better all these populations. And we shouldn't forget about the oceanic islands, Santa Helena and Ascension, which are in the middle of the South Atlantic and recently are also seen humpback whales regularly. The lower picture is from Santa Helena, the other up high is from Ascension. Also places with great potential for expanding research and opportunities for whale watching as part of their ecotourism programs there. Well, these rebounding populations of humpbacks present new management challenges. We're seeing more and more interactions with fishing gear, entanglement, occasional deaths, interactions with shipping, with oil rigs. The issue of acoustic noise is not well studied in the South Atlantic. So there are common issues and interests in the management of whales that could benefit from better coordination and cooperation by countries in the region. The CMS Action Plan offers this opportunity for us to exchange experiences, start comparing issues, frameworks, and the effectiveness of the management regimes in the different countries, develop informed responses by the relevant authorities to the management challenges we have in the region, promote the capacity building in different countries for non-extractive use, and all that based on regional expertise and local realities and needs. I cannot stress enough how much this is important. Of course, international support and cooperation from other regions is very much welcome. But we do have an identity of management challenges and difficulties, of experiences and opportunities of dealing with these difficulties and overcoming them that could benefit from more exchange within the region in the South Atlantic and between South America and Africa in particular. So this flagship species approach that we are proposing today to do regional large whale cooperation with CMS support would be, in our view, in our concept, a soft approach to cooperation. It will be user-friendly and open. It probably wouldn't need new formal structures or mechanisms like formal agreements between countries. It would be an opportunity and a mechanism without the need for much formality. CMS, because of the existence of the action plan and its partners eventually, could be the host of this initiative and anchor it while allowing for a number of other stakeholders to take part. And it could be inclusive of a range of local stakeholders, managers of whale issues in the countries, government agencies, tour operators, which should be involved directly because of their experience in the water with the animals and the information they can provide. Civil society, researchers from the countries involved and from cooperating institutions in other parts of the world. We would be basically using a relatively abundant species of whale to anticipate management issues and needs for other South Atlantic whales. We shouldn't forget that we have southern right whales, which are still recovering from whaling. They're coming in the tracks of humpbacks, not in the same numbers, but they're also recovering healthily. But we do have other baleen whales like blue whales and fin whales, whose status in the South Atlantic is basically unknown. We do know that they are very, very low in numbers, but we're hopeful that they would also at some point rebound. So basically we could use humpbacks as a model to anticipate these management needs and start working through the species, and then step by step, as the need appears, use this experience for further management with other classification species. Among the tasks that could be done under this framework will be the review of existing information at the ocean basin level on the species status, strengths, and gaps. Definitely not reinventing the wheel. There's a lot of good information already by researchers in both sides of the Atlantic, not so much in the oceanic islands, but that's coming up too. We would be able to identify relevant and, of course, willing national stakeholders and existing and potential international supporters to make this framework function. Establish a coordination mechanism, a dialogue platform to make progress on the real-world issues that are the challenges for the countries in the region, like the information gaps that are required for management, on the species, on the impacts, either existing or potential, such as the case of underwater noise, and on the lethal use potentials and needs of different countries. This framework would foster collaboration, promote meetings whenever necessary or useful among the stakeholders. I know we all talk much these days about reducing physical meetings, reducing your carbon footprint, but sometimes, especially when you have these fledgling opportunities in developing countries for people to get together, exchange information, see by themselves different ways of addressing management challenges, it is important to get managers and other stakeholders together. And in general, operate as a capacity clearinghouse, especially for whale watching and management experiences, where people could come to offer their expertise, exchange doubts, needs, information, deal with crises whenever they appear, such as being the case of the recent oil disaster along the coast of Brazil, where we were basically all alone and dealing with that. Fortunately, the whales had already departed to the grounds when that happened. But there will be an opportunity for such a framework to be of use for international cooperation in the region. And of course, search for some funding to make it work. We definitely wouldn't need that much money. We are mindful of the fact that we shouldn't expect funding from CMS. Much to the contrary, I think that we should try to make sure that the action plan operates in a way that doesn't bear on CMS structure and funding, but perhaps can also help CMS become better recognized in its marine species portfolio, and then be part of this fundraising effort for itself, not only for the management of this pilot for the action plan. And of course, there's the issue of how we're going to deal with the other whale convention, the IWC. And you know, this is not a patched wound on the whale, it's a sun sign. We definitely want to work with the idea of cooperation with the Whaling Commission. We do think that CMS, as the host of this initiative, could be more user-friendly to stakeholders which are not part of the formal structure of governments. IWC itself is evolving a lot in terms of embracing other stakeholders, and the cooperation between the two organisms is really becoming more and more regular. I think there is great potential to draw on the expertise of the scientific committee and the conservation committee of the Whaling Commission. So we would foresee that such an initiative by CMS could garner support and draw on the expertise that the Whaling Commission is able to provide. In summary, what we want to do is to seize the opportunity of an existing niche under CMS with the approval of this action plan in Manila. Use this recovering whale species which is occurring in all the range states. Use the fact that we have a variety of stakeholders in several of the range states already working with humpback whales, either on research or whale watching or management. Take advantage of the increased cooperation between CMS and IWC, as I just said, and use this great potential in several countries to foster the improved management and generation of jobs and income through non-lethal use. In short, turning the South Atlantic into a model, we hope, for the cooperation on whales as a common heritage to the benefit of everyone. Based on our 30 years of experience, we think that this cooperation can only be achieved if we involve people on the ground. It's great to have the international agreements working on overarching issues on whale conservation and management, but we have to find ways of involving the local people. And if we can build a user-friendly framework which provides for the input, the participation of everyone, if we raise awareness in our countries about what CMS is, what's its role, and if we can do that filtering through local stakeholders, I'm sure that we can achieve much more for whale conservation than we have already done. I'm finishing, but I wouldn't like to finish without paying tribute in the name of the Institute to our great friend Bradley Chambers. Back in Manila, Bradley was encouraging us to proceed with ideas for making the CMS action plan on large whales in South Atlantic work. And what we're doing here and what we may be able to achieve will be all inspired by his presence. Thank you very much. That's my contact. This humpback is preaching in front of the city of Salvador de Bahia, where Brazilian Carnival is raging exactly right now while we're here discussing whales, but someone has to do it. I talk too much, but I would very much like to hear what you have to say about this issue. Thank you very much. Please, comments, ideas.
Jose, we've been, you've been very much involved across the decades, I think, within the IWC with your colleagues in Argentina, and I think mostly in proposing South Atlantic whaling sanctuary. Do you see any added value and any reason for doing it again, continuing along that line, or have your ideas evolved differently?
That's a good question. Thank you, Giuseppe. Just like many countries, probably, Brazil is also evaluating what is happening right now at the Whaling Commission. There is a process at the Commission itself for lack of a better word in my English, reinventing itself for the 21st century in improving its management mechanisms and the way it works. There's been a new political reality with the departure of Japan. No one really knows what that means for the future of the Commission in the long run. So I guess between now and the next biennial meeting in September, there's going to be a lot of discussion about that, not only in Brazil, but among other co-sponsors of the proposal of the South Atlantic Sanctuary. What is established is that we as a nation, and we as the Buenos Aires group of Latin American countries there, do not want to give up on the idea of further cooperation with the South Atlantic. So I think I'm certain when I tell you that the idea will continue to prosper in one way or another, which is the core idea of the sanctuary proposal. Not necessarily do away with whaling, which happened with different sanctuary proposals over time, but make sure that there is a framework for cooperation also in the IWC. Yes, please.
Thank you very much. Nicholas Selheim of the University of Helsinki in Finland. You were mentioning that you were aiming, or that you are already engaging with stakeholders. And how do you identify those? And who do you consider a stakeholder and who don't you consider a stakeholder?
Good point. Well, we do have an array of stakeholders from all walks of life, from academia to the guy who has this little bar in front of the beach somewhere in Bahia, who started whale watching or built a boat and is trying to do something. It hasn't been recognized yet by the international frameworks doing the whale management. I think we would rely on national focal points. We know who are working with whales in different countries over time, thanks in no small part to the Whaling Commission, where people have been involved in one way or another. But there are new players appearing all the time in different countries, especially developing countries working with whales. So I guess we would be willing, through this few institutions who are starting the idea, to identify other stakeholders, work with the national governments to do that too, and then have it open-ended basically, so people could bring their expertise or their needs, and we would be trying to work together as much as we can.
Thank you very much, Jose. Thank you. I'm from the International Whaling Commission. I'm the executive secretary. So
Thanks for coming.
I don't speak on behalf of the commissioners. They make the decisions. But the vice chair for the scientific committee, Alex Urbini, himself from Brazil, was really excited to join this event. So thank you so much. He asked me to raise a few points about the collaboration. So there's work underway, obviously, at the scientific committee to assess the status of these populations, A and B. I guess it's all good news. They appear to be recovering, but they're encountering these new threats that you mentioned. And if you look into what we're doing at the IWC, our work program is expanding because, in fact, it's not whaling that's the issue now. It's bycatch, it's ship strikes, it's underwater noise and climate change. So I'm pleased to see that expansion of work. So the IWC also conducts disentanglement training. I don't know if you mentioned that, but David Antilla's been all over Latin America doing training the trainers, so that when you do see a whale with some kind of fishing gear on it, you can have ways to safely disentangle it. And the IWC is assessing the other whales in that area, such as blue and southern right whales. And there's also a CMP for southern right whales in Franciscana river dolphins. Don't forget to pick up your bookmark if you're interested in how to do great whale watching and not hurt the animals. That's a CMS collaboration. We're really tickled about that. The world's first online whale watching handbook. And you mentioned the governance review. So the IWC is going through a governance review. A lot of the RFMOs have done performance reviews at IWC. It's called the governance review. And it's looking at how we do our meeting structure correctly, our committee structure correctly, etc. So if you're from an IWC member country, you've probably already seen that the draft documents are out for public for member review. Raise your hand if you're from an IWC member country. Everybody from India should raise your hand. Good. Okay. Don't forget to send comments or stakeholders. Yeah, obviously. So thank you so much for the event and for highlighting this. And I really like the point that sometimes when a station population come back, we have new problems.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for that, and thank you for coming. I mean, it's really meaningful that the Secretary comes to the CMS and that we can have further dialogues than the ones that happen during the biannual meeting, which sometimes are clouded by different issues beyond our control. So I really foresee more cooperation in this common issues that we see with the CMS. Anyone else?
Maybe I'm loud enough anyway. Thank you. Thanks, Jose. My name is David Johnson. I work for the Global Ocean Biodiversity Initiative. But I wanted to mention a different hat. I'm involved with a project called iAtlantic, which is an EU-funded project which is taking a whole ocean approach to both North Atlantic and South Atlantic, and linking the European Union with work that we've done on another project, but also with Brazil and South Africa. So I just think some of the whale watching that was discussed in plenary and that you just mentioned just now might be a very good blue growth vehicle for looking at ocean-wide migration, and perhaps I can be in touch with you and put you in touch with the Atlantic people.
Yeah, we will. Thanks for that, and thanks for the work you do. I'm not as knowledgeable about the project as we probably should, but we're definitely interested in talking more and cooperating as much as we can. Thank you.
Nicholas, I'm really sorry that I was late, so maybe my question is totally redundant, but talking about the South Atlantic,
No dumb question.
I'm really interested in your collaboration with West African South in terms of emerging interest for those transplantable species.
Yes, as I said, there's this huge potential in West Africa for doing work with whales in all sorts of areas, including whale watching and generating jobs and income. In some places more than others because of logistical issues, both for research and for non-lethal use. But definitely, what this framework could do is something that individually the groups working with whales are not being able to do, which is communicate further regularly and cooperate more between Africa and South America. We must do it. There's immense experience and potential in both sides, and if we can build a core group to foster that cooperation through CMS, I think it would be fantastic. I mean, it's something that I would definitely love to do before I retire from this 40-something years of working with whales. I see there's young people doing stuff with whales on both sides of the Atlantic. There's this emerging interest in the oceanic islands of doing more work on whales too. So yeah, the potential is there. I would love to do more for that to happen, and I think that this is the time and the place for us to make it work. I have already flagged to Amy that after this COP, I'll be bothering the Secretariat for us to think about how this could be developed. The Institute would be willing to offer whatever modest contribution it can give in time and people and a little bit of our contacts. I'm sure there's people in Argentina and Uruguay also willing to do it from our side. We already have friends from Benin and Gabon and other places in Africa willing to help. So yeah, it's a good time for trying something different. All right, thank you so much for coming. I have a few welcomes here for those of you who want it, might be useful for the excursion on Friday. Thank you, and at the Brazilian Humpback Whale Institute, I worked with Brian Rose before. At the Brazilian Humpback Whale Institute, we will be willing to listen to you and get your contributions on this and other issues on whales at any time. Thank you so much for coming. Enjoy the rest of your day. Caps. Yes, I do. You were asking questions at the gym meeting. Oh, that's true. I think that's true. Things have changed. Quite amazing. You have to taste.
Eu queria só perceber, vocês já começaram
Essa é a primeira conversa sobre isso.
Yes.